Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Bienvenidos. My name is McCoy Dodsworth. I run the College and Career Center. We know that being bilingual is so good for our brains, right? We know that it helps us hold contradictions, right? It kind of discourages that black and white thinking. And we're here today to learn a little bit from these amazing panelists who have volunteered their time to be here about what it is like to be bilingual at work. And I'm going to turn the stage over to two of your PHS seniors, Teresa and Alexa. Thank you for being here. They're both earning the Seal of Biliteracy. And if you have any questions about the Seal of Biliteracy, come see me or see one of your Spanish teachers.
You guys all hear me? Yeah, okay. So welcome guys. Today we're joined by 4 people that are volunteering their time with us. We're joined by Marcel Perez, Elliot Enriquez, we're joined by Tomas Maldonado, and Gabby Arana. So let's start off with, well, we already said your name, so give us a little background information. Like, what languages do you speak, and what's your current job?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcel Perez. I speak English, obviously, and Spanish. I grew up speaking Spanish at home. My parents are Mexican, and I currently work at a rehabilitation facility called Bilingual here in Petaluma, and I am a caregiver.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Thomas Maldonado. I was born in the Dominican Republic. I grew up in New York City. A little bit about me: I've been in the military 17 years. I'm an officer focusing on HR specifically. So a little bit about me. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabby. I'm a PhD student at UC Berkeley. This is my 3rd year, so I have 1 more to go. I grew up speaking Spanish, obviously. I moved here when I was in my senior year to this great high school. I also am learning Portuguese and I speak Spanish.
Good morning. Buenos días. My name is Elliot Enriquez. I work for the Petaluma Health Center here in town. I'm the Director of Outreach and Relations. Thank you for having me here today.
Did you guys have any experiences in your high school years that influenced your career and how you guys are, where you guys are now?
I guess I'll start with that. I graduated in 2016 from Santa Rosa High School. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, and to this day, I guess I can say that I still don't know exactly what I want to do. But I feel like that's something that is just going to be a constant do and reflect, right? So I've been working a series of jobs, probably like close to a dozen jobs since graduating high school, and I'm finishing up at SSU now. And I feel like one thing that has helped me drastically is just to try things and say yes, like to this. You know, I just got an email and I was like, sure, let's talk to these students and see what I learned from you guys and see what more skills I develop.
Thank you. Great question. So, I graduated high school, New York City, and I went to college, not sure what's going on, what I wanted to do. Overall, I met a young gentleman that was in the Coast Guard, and he worked for our company part-time in the reserve program for the Coast Guard, and kind of gave me some good insight of what it's like to travel a little bit around the world and see different things, and give me some good opportunities. So, I went to high school in New York City, graduated, and I went to college as well in New York City, and transitioned out of the college program and joined the Coast Guard. Been doing that for the last 17 years, and recently I finished my master's degree through the Coast Guard, so gave me some good opportunities, and yeah, it's a little bit of that.
Congratulations on your master's.
For me, it was, so I studied here for my senior year, and then I went to feel like
Sorry.
what's the
Back up to your original seat. If you rotated your desk, move it back. Turn that off.
Otherwise, it's a good question. That's a good question.
So for me, it was doing an internship at Cal Academy. I didn't know Cal Academy even had like a science program, so I got to try how to be a scientist there for a summer, and it was amazing. And I got paid to do so, so that was really amazing. So I discovered my passion for science, and then after that, I went to Nova State, graduated with my biology degree, did my master's there as well, and I went
Let's see. Big influence on me, I think, would have to be my family's migration here to the United States. I was born in Mexico. And
Then go ahead and pass your card up to the front row.
and my family brought me over when I was 3. And ever since
Just
then,
turn it off.
it's been very apparent to me, and just like my life struggle, my family struggle of adapting and getting to know the culture here, society here. And so I've always made it a point to myself to try to give back and try to help others, right? Especially with the Latino culture, whether it's Mexico, Central America, Latin America. I've always wanted to play a part, to be a bridge for these communities and just help people get along and understand what it is to be American. And so I've studied political science, international relations. Yes, and I've traveled all over the country doing that type of work.
And so moving on to my question is, let's start off with you. How do you use your Spanish or English, your bilingual self? How do you use it in your like workspace?
So how do I use it? I use it every day in my workspace. I can safely say, and I don't know about everybody else on this panel, but every single job that I've had is because I've become bilingual. It's always been a requirement, and that's always made me stand out from other candidates in terms of my, not only just being bilingual, but also being bicultural, learning the differences, learning how to speak and write Spanish has made a huge difference. And especially when that is my role, it plays a big part. I'm the face in the community of the organization that I represent. And so I have to be able to communicate with Spanish speakers as well as English.
So I guess for me, being bilingual, it kind of opened the doors to a very amazing world of titles that I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't speak very well Spanish. So for science, I couldn't go to the route of like studying something less interesting than titles, but I'm in love with titles. And being able to work with them, you need a lot of permits and connections from like the Mexican government and Mexican scientists. So being able to transition between those two worlds, it opened up so many possibilities. It opened up the spaces where the lab that I joined, it made me a good candidate for studying a lot of interesting questions that nobody has asked yet. I guess a lot of the digital world is about conservation, but what I'm doing is looking more like a science background, like physiology, and those are a lot of questions that have medical applications that nobody has asked before. So being able to speak two languages and navigate through different countries, it's going to open the door for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at bilingual as a superpower. I think it's always this unique opportunity to be able to do more and use that knowledge to empower others or to help others. In my world, I tend to use it to help others. It tends to be an opportunity where someone probably doesn't know I speak Spanish just because it's not as common to meet someone in the American public that speaks Spanish in California. But when they do, it's very grateful, and I definitely use that to empower others and to help out when I can, which is often when I'm using my Spanish just to help others. On a ship or on deployments or different parts of the world where I get to travel.
I would say that being bilingual has simply allowed me to reach more people and to relate to people a little more. In my current job as a care coordinator with this rehab facility, there are kids from all sorts of backgrounds from all over the country, and a lot of them do come from the Spanish Spanish-speaking background, so I feel like I could relate with them a little, I guess maybe a little closer than someone that doesn't speak Spanish might. But I mean, in our reality, I could say from like every job that I've had, from like selling phones to being a security guard, to everything in between, to helping run a program for Spanish-speaking families at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park. Like it's all the different jobs have really, it definitely has helped to speak Spanish.
Can I share something? I see a lot of like Latinos in here, and this is just funny. So growing up, and I don't know if you guys can relate, like my parents were like, no English in the house. And I used to hate that. I mean, I would get like in these huge fights with my mom and my dad. Like, why? I don't get it. And but they stuck to it, and they never allowed me to speak English in the house. And that was how I was able to maintain my Spanish, and I'm so thankful for it. So if you guys are in that similar situation, I promise you, listen to your parents. Speak Spanish only in your household, and you're not going to regret it. Because I have other family members and other friends who didn't do that, and they continue to speak English in their household, and the level of Spanish for them and mine is just like night and day, like completely night and day. So if you have that ability, work it, flex it, use it. Don't lose your Spanish, because it's either use it or lose it, right? Yeah. And for you non-Latinos in here, use your Latino friends here to help practice your Spanish. It's the best, cheapest way you can do it, because later on in life, it's going to cost you money, I guarantee you. Yeah.
So moving on, what is one thing that students probably don't know about being bilingual and how often it shows up in the field for whatever it is?
So I think you guys already know, you guys are later generation, that our world is becoming much more interconnected all the time. And having Mexico and Latin America to the south of us, I mean, and just having such a large population of Latinos in the state, we're much more interconnected now, and business opportunities, study opportunities, travel opportunities, your Spanish is going to be invaluable in a couple of years, especially when you leave high school. And it's like this gentleman said over here, it's a superpower that you're going to have, and you're going to be able to use. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't take advantage of it. So, yeah.
Well, besides the obvious that you're a much more qualified candidate if you speak another language and then you get paid more for doing so. Let me give some statistics because the science is exciting. We're going to give some numbers. So for Sonoma County, there is only 2% of the population, the Spanish-speaking population that goes into science. So that's a very, very low number. So if you're finding Spanish, there you have your chances for like getting a nice job. So very, very high chances of getting a job. And in fact, like being a minority or speaking another language in the sciences, you can always put it in your resume, in your applications, and you're getting more scholarships. It's a superpower.
Yeah, I'll share a little bit. I think for myself, what was the beginning part of your question?
What's one thing students probably don't know about being bilingual?
Yeah, I think making more money is one of those biggest things. When it comes to, and I'll share a little story about my wife. It's a little different. She's Mexican American. She's a nurse practitioner. She's a midwife. We just moved here 6 months ago, and her applying for jobs speaking multiple languages has made her have way more negotiation powers when it comes to the job. So just not just Spanish alone, but any other language you might speak, you're able to go into the workplace with more ability to negotiate. And that's something that's important is as you accept a job and as you go to college, you transition to your first set of jobs, there's a negotiation power aspect that most people just don't know about. You're empowered when you get hired to a job, and make sure you know that that's the time to negotiate for whatever you feel is necessary, whether that's money for college, whether that's paid time off, or a long list of things you need to be aware of, which is not often talked about as you go go into college and you start looking at your first job and your first internship. So that's kind of a little bit I want to share.
I think all you hit it like on the spot. I really can't think of anything else other than travel. I travel a lot, and it's so much easier to communicate with my Spanish and English, and they're so common here. And so yeah, I have quite a few experiences in Mexico in hostels where I was the one that spoke Spanish besides the staff there, and I'm with a bunch of people from Europe or Israel or other sides of the world. They don't speak Spanish, and I'm like connecting them with local people. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So, ¿por qué es importante ser bilingüe para ustedes, aparte de como las cosas culturales? ¿Por qué piensan que deben enseñar a la gente a ser español? Español, por favor.
Practicar. Bueno, para mí es súper importante porque es mi herencia. Define quién soy y de dónde vengo. También para mí, para mi familia, es una manera de mantener nuestra relación con nuestra cultura. Especialmente estamos un poco lejos de México. Entonces siempre es un buen recordatorio de dónde somos.
Esa conexión de tener con tu familia, esa conexión de tener con otra cultura, te abre las puertas de una manera diferente que si solamente quieres llegar y a lo mejor te van a entender si les hablas en inglés, pero si les hablas en su idioma, la gente te va a abrir sus corazones. Y eso es muy, muy, muy importante porque siento que te conectas a un nivel mucho más personal con las personas y aparte puedes servir como un puente y la conexión que generas es muy interesante.
Yo sé español, pero como dijo Enrique, yo como que duré muchos años sin hablar español. So, estaba en la escuela y como que dejé de aprender un poco de español y lo más que crecí, ahora como practico más. Y la importancia yo la veo mucho ahora porque el niño mío tiene 7 años, 5 años y lo tengo en la escuela en español 100% del tiempo porque la importancia de saber 2 idiomas. Cuando tenía 18 años, 21 años, no sabía la importancia. Pero ahora que soy un adulto y veo la oportunidad que tengo y la puerta que abrió en los 17 años haciendo este servicio, son una oportunidad muy especial. Y si no sabía 2 idiomas, yo creo que muchas cosas que me pasaban en mi vida en el servicio de estar en el Coast Guard no podía ser posible. Un poquito de eso.
Yo estoy de acuerdo con lo que dijo Gaby. Es como crear un puente entre la gente que se puede comunicar en el inglés, ya que pues, se hizo normal el inglés aquí en este país, pero en realidad pues, hay bastantes idiomas y yo creo que es algo desafortunado que muchas personas no saben el inglés y ellos tienen que básicamente tener a alguien que crea ese puente y pues yo creo que yo tengo esa oportunidad de hacer ese puente con ser bilingüe.
Me gustaría mencionar algo más también. Para nosotros que crecimos bilingües, es muy importante por lo menos hablar muy bien un idioma, ¿verdad? Conozco a muchos latinos y latinas de mi edad que ni hablan bien el español, ni hablan bien el inglés. Yo no digo nada, pero desafortunadamente se ve mucho. Así es que les pido que por favor mínimo aprendan bien a hablar un idioma. El inglés sería ideal porque viven aquí, pero si no y prefieren mantener su español perfecto, pues no puedo porque también les va a ayudar mucho, como habían mencionado, en las carreras. Pero no quiero que sean parte de ese grupo que hablan bien inglés ni hablan bien español, porque la verdad sí da vergüenza Y a ellos les da vergüenza también se nota, así que no dejen caer en eso.
Yo quiero ir contra de todo lo que dice porque pienso que es bonito tratar de hablar un idioma y si no tratas, no aprendes, sí lo vas a hablar mal por un tiempo, pero si quieres aprender y te enfocas a hacerlo, creo que vas a crecer y vas a aprender a hacerlo bien.
Perfecto. Que sigan aprendiendo. Pero ustedes están a una edad que todavía están aprendiendo los dos idiomas y que pueden salir de aquí y tener a los 22 años poder manejar los dos idiomas a un nivel perfecto, ¿verdad?
¿Cuál fue una experiencia, una oportunidad que ustedes tuvieron en su carrera que lo consiguieron porque hablaban los idiomas?
Todas mis carreras. Absolutamente todas. Y yo ahorita, yo no me acuerdo el último trabajo en el que yo vi que no decía Spanish preferred or Spanish or bicultural.
¿Y tú se entiende?
Every single job offer or opportunity that I've seen in the past 2 years have all said Spanish or bicultural preferred. Every single one. I can't think of a job opportunity that I've seen that it doesn't say that on there. So it's super important. And every job I've had, like I mentioned already, I've gotten because of my Spanish speaking skills.
Sí, gracias, totalmente de acuerdo. No hay ningún trabajo que no diga, oh, no queremos aquí que hablen español. No, pienso que al revés. Si eres bilingüe en cualquier idioma, muchas veces no necesariamente es en español, pero también en el área de la bahía tenemos mucho el mandarín, se necesita mucho.
¿Qué tal la historia del curso? Hablando en español y como una oportunidad que tuviste, una experiencia.
Bueno, well, my big job in the Coast Guard for a few years was drug interdictions, where I got to travel to South America and deal with different countries. And speaking Spanish was essential. Well, even though the military would have Spanish translators on board of all ships, but having someone extra always helped. So I had the opportunity to go to Mexican Army's Admiral's House to translate, go on different ships and become a translator. Those are some unique opportunities that I had. But more importantly, part of affirmative action is really a big hot topic that everyone always talks about. And some of those pushes and my opportunity when I joined the Coast Guard was through that aspect. And I was able to join because I was a minority. And there were some unique opportunities for positions held for people of color, people of different backgrounds, women specifically, and those are the type of things that you create a diverse world, and companies and workplaces are trying to create a more diverse world that represents the community. Those are some of the unique things I see.
Here, get the question.
What is the normal experience that you have that you were experiencing because you were bilingual?
I would say the part-time job that I have with Sonoma Ecology Center, I think I mentioned it briefly. I help run a program for Spanish-speaking families there, and the whole program exists to create that bridge for people in Sonoma Valley that speak Spanish that don't go out to the parks. And I think it's a really unique experience to be able to have an opportunity to work with a program like that. But I mean, I say unique experience, but in our reality, I don't think it's that unique anymore because there are so many programs like that that are meant to serve the Spanish-speaking population that are a little disconnected from these areas, right?
Yo quiero saber una experiencia que han tenido cuando están hablando español con la gente y que sea pues algo memorable, porque algo que siempre está contigo cuando hablas. Y vamos a empezar con
Sí, yo tengo una buena experiencia que recuerdo muy bien porque fue un trabajo que conseguí, donde comencé a trabajar después de la high school. Estaba trabajando para una compañía de seguridad, como un guardia de seguridad, y había un señor que lo miraba que cada que yo estaba patrullando alrededor del negocio, él entraba temprano en la madrugada, como a las 6 de la mañana, y él era un dishwasher en un restaurante, y recuerdo que él llegaba en una bicicleta y se miraba, era mayor de edad el señor, y yo como que, no es que sentía lástima que se levantaba tan temprano, pero sino como que yo pensaba como en mi papá, en mis tíos, yo no pude conocer a mis abuelos, así es que no tuve así como una imagen de mis abuelos, pero yo miré a ese señor entrar al trabajo temprano en la mañana y se me figuraba como a un familiar, y ya después de verlo como unas 2 o 3 veces decidí hablar con él y hablaba español, y solo hablaba español, así es que se me hizo como que muy, no sé, era muy bonito establecer esa relación con él, y ya cada vez que lo miraba lo saludaba, y hasta hoy en día de vez en cuando que paso ahí por donde trabajo lo veo en su bicicleta y me ha tocado saludarlo. Se llama Gregorio, así es que hasta hoy en día recuerdo su nombre y pues me da gusto cuando lo veo, así es que eso fue todo porque podía hablar su idioma, podía hablar español.
Bueno, una vez estaba yo en el mar, si no sabes, nosotros andamos mucho en el agua y un día vimos un barco con 10 gente. Yo me recuerdo ese momento muy especial porque era la primera persona que hablé con la familia que estaban en el medio del mar, sin comida, sin agua y en el punto que podían morirse posible, y yo era la primera persona que le habló y le dio como sentido de calmado porque estaban muy lejos de su casa y en ruta para los Estados Unidos por se dañó el motor. Pasa muchas veces con mucha gente y a veces mucha gente no llega. Y eso fue especialmente porque había niños de 5 años, 8 años y un par de adultos. Y esa oportunidad para calmar 10 gente, porque yo era la primera persona que hablaba español en un barco, eso fue un especial momento para mí, para yo conectar con la gente y ayudar como podía.
Con las tortugas. Pues con las tortugas realmente las tortugas no hablan.
No.
El poder conectar con las personas locales, ellos están acostumbrados que a veces van investigadores. Generalmente un investigador, todos tenemos la imagen de un científico que es sin pelito, con sus lentes, su batita blanca. Entonces, el que vean a una persona con pelo rosa o que no necesariamente encaja en ese perfil y llega y les puede hablar con ellos. Y no nomás, lo más importante no es hablar con ellos, sino escucharlos a ellos. Que ellos a veces se sienten invadidos por las personas que van y nada más extraen sus recursos. El que tú sí te puedas sentar con ellos a escucharlos, lo que ellos tienen que decir, es tan increíble para mí cuando yo los escuché que me decían, no, es que aquí todas las personas que vienen por las tortugas nada más quieren que les llevemos a las tortugas, pero ellos no nos dan nada a cambio, ellos no nos escuchan, ellos no platican con nosotros, ellos nomás nos vienen y nos dicen, ahora está esta ley y la tienen que seguir, pero ellos no vienen a decirnos, bueno, y si ponemos esta ley se queda sin comer, ¿qué más vamos a hacer? Y eso pasa mucho inclusive aquí también en las comunidades nativas, porque las personas que están a cargo de hacer leyes dicen, bueno, este animal ya no se come, pero la población siempre ha vivido de ese animal. Eso es lo que pasó con las tortugas marinas. Entonces, cuando yo fui a escuchar como a los pescadores, todas sus historias, fue muy interesante, pero siento como que me abrieron muchos corazones.
Para mí, en lo personal, como migrante, es poder tener una buena relación con mis abuelos y con mi familia en México. Porque yo sé que si mi español no estuviera tan bien, sería mucho más difícil mantener una relación con ellos, poder hablar sobre sus historias, sobre la familia y conocerlos de una manera muy especial. Así es que eso me ha ayudado mucho. Y en lo profesional, como mencionó Gaby, es poder conectar, ¿verdad? Muchas veces la gente no se entiende porque el idioma, ¿verdad? Entonces poder ser ese puente y que puedas conectar y quitar malentendidos, para mí es lo más importante.
¿Tienen algunos consejos, no solamente para hablar español, pero para agarrar otro lenguaje, para aprender otro lenguaje, viendo sus experiencias?
Practíquenlo. Practiquen, practice your Spanish. It's use it or lose it. Si no lo usas, se te va. Y a veces a mí me sucede que a veces pasan 1 o 2 semanas en que no estoy usando mucho mi español y de repente cuando quiero volver a entrar, pues como que me toma un poco más de tiempo. Entonces para mí algo muy importante es siempre usarlo. Siempre, cada día, por lo menos un poco, para que siga progresando y siga aprendiendo.
Y yo quiero decir una cosa así como más o menos parecida, practicarla, pero yo he visto muchas personas que les da vergüenza hablar su idioma, les da vergüenza que los escuchen hablando español o cualquier otro lenguaje nativo que tengan. Y pienso que es al contrario, es superpower, tienes que usarlo. Entonces, practicarlo y no tener vergüenza de tu background.
Sí, es importante, y cada español es diferente. Cuando tú ves a alguien de República Dominicana, mexicano, puertorriqueño, España, esos son diferentes estilos de español. Mi esposa mexicana ni entiende el lingo de dominicano. Ella dice a veces, ¿qué? Y no entiende lo que yo estoy diciendo, pero yo lo hablo como yo lo hablo y alguien de una parte diferente de República Dominicana lo habla completamente diferente. So, empower yourself to be great. And, organization, empowerment, and I think he said a great point earlier, which is just kind of jump back to that, is being a subject matter expert at that craft and that language is really going to open the doors and make life easier for you. So as you grow up and as you navigate through life, and you'll start seeing that the more you know, the easier it is to perform that duty, and it opens more doors for you as you navigate. I think I personally would say I didn't take school that seriously when I was 18 years old, and that didn't mean I didn't succeed, but it just made it where I felt like I had to work a little bit harder. And as I entered college, I felt like I definitely did work a little bit harder. So those are things I kind of learned from, and I appreciate you mentioning that, because at 17 or 18, no one told me that. So when I entered the college space, I definitely was staying up later than my peers. As it comes to the ability to read a whole book and navigate through the requirements of school. So I kind of went off the tangent there, but that was it.
Yo creo que un consejo que les daría a ustedes sería, si tienen la oportunidad de viajar, háganlo. Y háganlo fuera del país, donde hay otras personas que hablan diferentes idiomas, que no sean inglés. Yo creo que eso les va a ayudar demasiado, y aparte tal vez les va a dar como que una necesidad, si es que les gusta viajar, a aprender otro idioma. Yo creo que fue algo muy bonito cuando yo pude ir a Tailandia y a Japón y ver que no había nadie más que hablaba en inglés. Como que me hizo que yo me esfuerce a aprender un poco de su idioma. Así es que si pueden viajar, háganlo.
Say one more thing. Everyone has an iPhone? Yeah. Duolingo. I just want to say that, and it doesn't have to be Spanish. It can be any language you're interested in. So I always tell people, we're on our phones most of the time anyway, why not use them to benefit? My 7-year-old uses Duolingo every day. He has a 500-day streak in Spanish. Pretty addicted. He probably won't go to bed unless he does it. But recently he switched to Japanese. So, he's 7 years old, and now he's attempting to learn a third language. So, put yourself out there and learn something you're interested in.
That's really cool. I have a Duolingo streak too.
There you go. What's your streak?
200.
Nice work.
So, what were your first steps in your field? I heard, Elliot, that you said you did political science, but
How did that transfer into working in call center?
So that's a very interesting connection. So when I was in college, I studied international relations, political science, and Latin American studies. But it was always with an emphasis in health. So when I graduated, I became a political consultant. So I traveled around the country working for numerous election officials, senators, U.S. congressmen, governors. And so that's how that all kind of tied in. And then I moved back, and a lot of what my work is actually being a political consultant for the health center, making sure that I stay on top of any legislative bills that might affect the health center. I need to stay on top of and make sure that we all know what they mean and how they're going to affect the health center and our patients. So.
The question from the back started.
Yeah, how did you get started in the field?
So I kind of went to the JC. I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do. I tried a bunch of things. I tried psychology. I tried responder. And it was like trial and error, and I wanted to be a physician, so I tried to do an internship in a cardiologist. I wanted to be a cardiologist, and then I went, and it was like super boring, and I couldn't see myself doing the same, giving pills to a patient for 30 years. So that's when I discovered science, and science, I love it because you can travel, and for me, like going back to the country and like working there and connecting those two worlds was like a seller. You also get paid to go to places that are very unique to people. Like the places I go, you cannot go to those places without a tour guide, or sometimes not even without a tour guide, because those are like learning reserve places that you really cannot access if you're not working on them. So that was for me.
Okay, just as a
And then also like traveling or to my home country, doing something different every day. My job is not the same every day. So for me that was like super interesting. Like I don't want to be bored. And then the last part of my work is like community service. I really like doing community service and like teaching kids science is like my passion and super passionate about it. So like being able to merge so many activities into one field is like what keeps me engaged.
Thank you. Come in and stand.
Well, so my unique story is I was 17 years old, lived on my own. Me and my brother, my parents gave us an apartment, and we were able to just kind of grow up a little bit earlier than most people did. At the same time, I worked as an office aide in New York City for a nonprofit company, and I attended college also. So 17 or 18, I was just trying to figure out my life and navigating through a full-time career and also a full-time college student and paying bills. Through that journey, I met some young gentlemen that just got out the Coast Guard, and through that story, I enjoy the human resource world, and he sort of told me there was an opportunity in the Coast Guard where I could be human resource and travel. I said, oh, that sounds cool, and I took advantage of that opportunity and joined the Coast Guard, and been doing that for 17 years, and it's actually going to be coming to an end in 3 years, where fortunately I was able to get my bachelor's in sociology in the Coast Guard. I got my master's recently in HR management, and my goal is to move into the HR specifics for maybe LA County or somewhere around here, depending what we decide as a family. But it's a little bit of my story.
I just started working in the mental health field about 3 months ago. To prepare me for this job, for this career, I would say it all started with working with youth. This was in 2020, the beginning of 2020, so right when everything went online, I applied to a job with a school district in Runner Park, and I started being an English teacher assistant. So I was working with the students that were either just arrived to this country or that had a really low English proficiency, and I was leading their classes. And after that, I ended up working with a series of different youth camps as a camp counselor, and also volunteering as a tutor for kids. And that eventually just gave me the experience to work with the youth in the mental health field now. And it's a lot different, completely different environment, and these youth have needs of substance abuse, mental health. So it's been a drastic change from where I've worked at youth in camps and schools to now at a rehabilitation facility. Those are a little bit of the things that
Now we're going to give the stage to Q&A, so just raise your hand, anyone who'd like to ask our panel a question.
Do you want to turn it on? I'll see if
Extra credit in Spanish.
Any questions for our panel?
Come on, give it to us.
Aprovechen de la oportunidad de ser
Okay.
Yeah, we're right there.
español o inglés.
Do you want the microphone?
Como otra perspectivos de las personas ayudarte en tu carrera?
De otras personas te refieres a perspectivos, otras personas,
Pero ¿cuáles otras personas?
o personas que hablan en español, ayudarte en la carrera. Pienso que para mí el que otras personas hablen conmigo y no sepan o no sientan que pueden conectarse al mundo de la ciencia porque lo vean como porque la ciencia es algo que no puedes hablar o no puedes conectarte y que yo pueda decirle no, la ciencia es como cualquier otra cosa, eso para mí es como lo que me mantiene emocionada, es poder yo like demystifying the science.
¿Alguien más quiere hablar de esta pregunta?
Question.
Here we go.
¿Ustedes qué lenguaje prefieren usar más? Así cuando estén hablando con amigos o qué lenguaje prefieren usar más en su vida.
Yo creo que esa es una buena pregunta. En mi caso, con mis amigos más cercanos, yo hablo de los dos. Hay veces que es como una... Y yo siempre dije de niño que nunca iba a hacer esto, que no iba a mezclar los dos idiomas. No sé por qué, nunca quería hacer esto. Y hoy en día lo hago cada vez que hablo con mis amigos más cercanos. Combino los idiomas. Y yo creo que ya es parte como de la cultura así de, como en mi caso, de padres mexicanos, así aquí. Mucha de mi cultura de música, de mis gustos personales, provienen de México. Pero pues mis amigos también se identifican con esa misma cultura, así es que ambos idiomas los conjugamos y pues hablamos los dos. Sabes que mi preferencia sería mezclar los dos.
Wow.
Tomás, tú dices en el barco hablaba.
Sí, so, la oportunidad, yo español siempre, porque no lo hago mucho y la oportunidad cuando conozco a alguien que habla español, lo hago el tiempo entero, pero también tenéis mucho, be mindful of like the people around me, so I also try not to speak Spanish where it excludes people in the space I'm in. So there's definitely a level of navigating both languages and knowing when to turn it on and turn it off. So I think I mastered that in the Coast Guard because it's a very unique, there's a small Hispanic and Latino community in my space. So I'm able to turn it on for 30 minutes and then switch it right back to English. So I try to navigate that with respect to everyone in the space.
Oh, I think it's at home. I always speak Spanish for sure. But also like being mindful of your surroundings. If a person doesn't understand the language that you're speaking, you like you switch to other things that they understand. And obviously, you can ask in order to make you one your home language. There's nothing else.
Para mí es el español. Cada oportunidad que yo tenga hablar español la voy a hacer más. mi preferencia. Así que, si alguien empieza a hablar en español, los que escucho que están hablando español, pues yo voy a aprender, a empujar ese botoncito de español, ¿no? Empezar a hablar, practicar, usar. Y desafortunadamente no sucede más de lo que me gustaría.
Para ustedes, ¿cuál es el idioma que les ha
¿Cuál es el idioma que se hizo más fácil de aprender?
más fácil aprenderlo? ¿Cuál es el más difícil para ustedes?
Ah, muy interesante. A mí me trajeron aquí cuando tenía 3 años, ¿verdad? Y a mí en la casa, ya les mencioné, nunca me dejaron hablar inglés. Entonces cuando me metieron a la escuela, a mí se me hizo muy difícil el inglés, pero súper difícil, no, yo no lo estaba aprendiendo. Entonces lo que decidieron es meterme a clases de español, y hasta que aprendí el español, ya pude agarrar y entender el inglés, porque el inglés se me hacía imposible. Entonces para mí siempre ha sido mucho más fácil el español, a pesar de que pues, el idioma también es más fácil, ¿no? Las palabras se pronuncian, cómo se escriben, no hay tantas instrucciones como en inglés.
Yo creo que todavía no he aprendido bien el inglés. Y lo aprendí de adulta, entonces mi acento es muy marcado. Y aparte hubo como mucho shaming cuando yo estaba tratando de aprender el inglés, porque mi acento es precisamente muy marcado. Entonces siempre era como, ¿qué dices? No te entiendo. Repítelo. Y era horrible hablar inglés. Entonces para mí fue muchísimo más fácil el español.
Bueno, a mí ninguno de los dos. No, sí, yo vine aquí a los 5 años, muy temprano, pero mi mamá y papá no hablan inglés todavía. Ellos trabajan en factoría su vida entera y el idioma lo aprendí yo. Y eso es un poquito más difícil, que no tienen un soporte igual en la casa, que se pone un poquito más trabajo y más, tiene que uno luchar un poquito más. So, de verdad, that's kind of my answer.
El español se me hace más difícil. Yo estoy tomando una clase ahorita del colegio, en la universidad, perdón, y la literatura, la escritura, pues, escribir ensayos nunca lo he hecho y se me hace muy difícil comparado al inglés. Así es que en esa cuestión sí es más difícil, pero al hablar yo creo que como que no pienso mucho en mis palabras al hablar en español comparado al inglés. Pues se me hace más fácil hablar en español.
¿Algunas más? ¿Necesitas hacer?
Ok. So, ustedes fueron jóvenes, ¿no? También crecieron. Son jóvenes todavía. Mi pregunta es que ¿cómo fue su experiencia? Porque yo he visto muchas personas que se avergüenzan del hablar español, ¿no? El que otras personas los escuchen hablar español y se avergüenzan de eso, ¿no? Y hay veces que eso, pues como ustedes dijeron, nos afecta para el futuro. Tal vez su español no crece, pero ¿cuál fue su experiencia? ¿Alguna vez se avergonzaron de su español?
Sí, yo creo que sí. En la primaria, no sé, como de niño, pues uno se avergüenza por cosas que no tienen sentido. Yo recuerdo que mi mamá me llevaba a la escuela caminando a la primaria, y yo no quería que mis amigos escucharan que estaba hablando español con mi mamá. Hoy en día, pues no, ya no sucede. Me enorgullece hablar el español, pero pues así de niño, pues es algo diferente.
Bueno, yo digo, no le dé mucha mente a la gente. Normalmente yo digo, focus on yourself and really block out any other people's opinion. I really try to focus on, try to educate my children specifically on the importance of being you and empowering who you are as a person. Whatever languages barriers you speak through, just navigating being who you are and empower that, because you're unique to yourself and everyone's unique to each other. And that's sort of another superpower you have as you enter the workspaces and colleges and start navigating all different experiences you have. I would say that, because even though like I might have joked around about English and Spanish might not be I'm not the best writer in the room, but I have other superpowers and other skills that really I take advantage of when it comes to organization and forward thinking and able to see what's considered like the enterprise of the workspace and navigating what's the next 5 years ahead of us. So figure out what powers you have in your space and whether that's languages or specific skills you notice you have, and take advantage of those. And that's really gonna set you aside from the rest of it.
Yeah, I think that it's as you're mentioning, knowing who you are and being happy with who you are and being proud of who you are, that's gonna set you apart from the rest of the people, and then it's also going to help you like succeed. The sooner you accept who you are, for me it was accepting my language and my English. It was much more achievable for me to speak English because I have a very heavy accent, because I have multiple people tell me that my English sucks, and I'm okay with English. I'm okay with my English sucking. I don't understand it. Because as you mentioned, English is not my superpower. My superpower is like so many other different things, so I'm okay with that. And the sooner you accept that and you don't let other people define who you are, the easier it's going to be.
I think you guys are lucky. When we were younger, you know, we didn't have Bad Bunny on the radio station. We didn't. You know, I mean, I would always look for that. Like, man, like, when am I going to hear Spanish? You know, and like rap or pop culture, and we simply never had it. And so for me, you know, I always look for that. Yo siempre buscaba lo que era mi cultura, and to this day I do. And it's interesting because a lot of Latinos, at least I've seen in our age range, like buscan la cultura. You know, a lot of times when they were younger, like you mentioned, like they were ashamed of it. But now that they're older and they're trying to really figure out their history and their background, like they're doing a full circle, really trying to figure out, you know, where they come from and who they are. So at some point, if you're ashamed of it now, I can guarantee you can come back later and try to understand it. So you might as well just do it now.
Bueno, ¿quieres preguntar?
Do you want to?
Es que quiero como compartir con ustedes como una persona que habla más de 3 idiomas. Es que yo dejé mi país a los 9 años, soy caribeña, y pues mi idioma natal es criol porque soy de Haití, pero a los 9 años empezó a hablar español, me complica mucho, pero yo hablé el español, francés, criol y estoy aprendiendo inglés. Y pues yo creo que lo que ustedes están explicando es una idea súper bueno. Cuando uno habla un idioma, no debe olvidar su idioma natal, porque yo dejo mi país a los 9 y hablar 2 idiomas más, me complica yo hablarlo, pero como practicarlo todo momento me he hecho algo bueno, porque en mi casa hablo mi idioma natal, y en la escuela hablo el inglés y español, y en mi casa me obligaron a ver películas en francés. Y es la razón que a mí nunca puedo olvidarme ni uno. Y entonces lo que quiero decir a ustedes es, sigue adelante con sus idiomas porque su cultura es su fuerza y su valor más importante que ustedes pueden tener.
Bueno,
Yeah.
¿alguien más quiere hacer unas preguntas?
¿Cuál idioma para ustedes es el más importante?
¿Alguien quiere responder esta pregunta?
Para mí el español, porque mi cultura es quien soy y define todo lo que hago. Para mí el español. Y mi familia también, por eso.
Pienso que para mí como persona el más importante es el español, pero para poder relacionarme en este país es muy importante.
I agree. I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think there's one set, one that has my opinion. I think for my career it's English, for my children it's Spanish. But overall, just finding that right balance between both is what I suggest.
Any questions from the front of the room? Front row?
No.
Well, I want to thank all of you guys for coming in. You guys for coming to talk to us. I'm just really important to it. I know seriously, and I feel very attached to this. Like, I'm also a Christian and American. So I agree with you guys. I resonate. And I want to thank all of my teachers for putting it together. Thanks to Ms. Boy. And I want to thank all of you guys for coming to listen.
Yeah.
No questions? You sure? We got one. Last one.
¿Alguna vez pensaron llegar tan lejos como algunos que no sabían de inglés? ¿Alguna vez pensaron llegar tan lejos en su carrera o algo que ustedes hicieron? O sea, ¿alguna vez se mentalizaron en llegar tan lejos?
Yo comienzo, sí. So, no. Yo soy el primero de mi familia con master's degree, con carrera, con la oportunidad que tengo yo y soy ejemplo para los que vienen atrás de mí. So, lo que hago yo mucho, yo tengo como 20 sobrinos que son más jóvenes que yo le hablo de diferentes oportunidades. Porque cuando uno llega a este país, nadie sabe las oportunidades que hay aquí. Y lo importante es preguntar preguntas como ustedes son jóvenes, ahora tienen más oportunidad con internet y muchas cosas diferentes, pero en el tiempo de nosotros no teníamos eso. So, tenemos uno hablar mucho de la oportunidad que tenemos. So, lo que hago yo mucho es empower my younger generation and open the doors that they didn't know was possible. Whether that means nurse practitioner, military college, whether it's being a pilot, and I'm just navigating through. I have about a network of 12 people behind me that are high positions in many different fields, and if I know they're interested in that, I'll connect those people. And really finding, I always challenge you, if you know what you want to do or have an interest in something, go find someone that does that field and ask those questions and figure out how they got there. My cousin's a pilot, so I have a young kid that wants to be a pilot, and I'm going to say, there's a unique thing you need to start doing now to make sure that's a door that could open for you. So the time is now to figure that out and really empower yourself to go ask those questions. College is for that too. Get started.
Absolutely not. I had no idea that career-wise I would be at the stage that I was. When I was in high school, I didn't really care for school. I didn't do that great. I was like, whatever, I'll figure it out later. But luckily, I had people who I was fortunate enough that helped guide me and showed me, how things were done a certain way. Because I had nobody teach me that, at least within my family. Like, I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was the first in my network of friends or my community to go to college. And so I had to learn all of that on my own with some help. And so for me, it's always really important to give back and talk to kids and be like, look, it's also important to know to ask for help, right? Because if you don't ask for help, then you can't really help you out. So if you have questions, I'm more than happy to help you guys, navigate. If you're interested in the health world or the political world, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm available. I love doing stuff like that. So yeah.
I guess for me, it's like a plain no. When I was in my senior year here, I didn't even know that you need an SAT to go to the university. I asked my mom if she will help me to go to the university, and if I just arrived, it was my three brothers and I was the oldest one. My mom was cleaning houses. I was helping her in the afternoon to clean houses and offices. And when I asked her to help me, she's like, well, people here, they save a lot of money for their kids to go to college. Like, I don't have that money. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to help you. And then I find out that there are scholarships, and there are many ways that you can go. There are many programs that help you. So I encourage you to seek all the help that you can. It is possible. I was afraid of going to the university. I never thought I was going to make it. I was failing classes because of my English and had to repeat the classes. And I thought to myself, like, if I'm failing the community college, like, when you get to the university, you're not going to make it. And it's like that inner voice that tells you, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it. I think you do. So don't listen to that voice sometimes. It's not.
I could I thought about dropping out many times, maybe like 3 or 4 times seriously, from JC and from the university. And I'm graduating in May. Just keep going.
Yeah, thank you. And just on a follow-up note, thank you for offering Elliot to follow up questions.
Yeah.
So just reach out to me and I can put you in touch with these very generous community members. Thank you again for being here today. Let's give him a huge round of applause.